Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Walks with Schla. And I actually do have something I definitely want to talk about, and I know I've talked about it before, so it's not like it's anything new, but I have arguments with people sometimes, and I think I'm just learning like something that I have to do like in the future. I don't really think I can engage with people. I mean, it's kind of a shame, and I do like to have conversations, but I'm very sick and tired of like the same kind of patterns with people. I mean, why is this the case that like everybody hates experts in data? It's like if you have data and you try to do things the right way, um why does everybody I seem to talk to just hate it? And they keep talking about like these abstract statements and comments like, well, okay, you have data, but that's not reality. That's what somebody told me. Data and reality are two different things. And I'm saying like, well, first of all, like data is based on reality, so data is supposed to be reality. I understand that data is incomplete. It's not always accurate, but some data is. Like some data is just genuinely accurate. I know it's hard to necessarily pinpoint it, and it depends on the study and what you're looking at, but a lot of data, for example, that is done on wages is very clear. It's very documented. There isn't really that much wiggle room because all this data is sifted through and reported to government tax agencies. And I mean, I shouldn't really have to explain this, but I keep running into people where they don't even know that. Apparently, they don't know that, and they're trying to tell me that, oh, well, there still could be problems with the data. And here's really the problem. And again, instead of saying this to the person, I'm just going to say it here because I know it's just going to fall on deaf ears. But um that as a belief doesn't make sense. You can't just like strike against data and then to like fuel your own personal belief and just say the data is completely wrong. That is like very like if you have a personal belief and then you see data, you see like clearly documented, again in this case we're talking about wages, very clear, very vetted, very documented information where there's not really any reason, there's no incentive for anybody to be making, well, I guess there could be incentive like businesses wise, but it's all pretty regulated. So you can't, I don't think businesses can really get away that much with smudging the numbers, but I mean, I guess that could go on to some extent. But the whole point is wages, yes, I mean, it may not be 100% accurate because no statistic is going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be like probably 80 or 90% accurate, our wage data that we have. Of course, that is over the table. I mean, obviously, then you have people who work under the table, and that can't be. I mean, that can't be accounted for. But that's not really the point. Um, the whole point is, as a framework, you can't just say like, well, I'm going to argue against the data you provided and then just claim that my opinion is closer to the truth based on this abstract like, well, that's data but it's not reality, and reality and data are two different things. At that point, you really can't, like, you're not standing on anything to make the argument. Now, there are times I may present an argument and I preface, like, well, this is my personal experience. So, I mean, I'm not saying it as truth. I'm saying, well, this is true for me. But then in other cases, when I'm talking to someone, I'm saying, no, like, this is something we do happen to have pretty well documented data about. And so in this case, like, there's not really much of an argument. Because, again, for certain things like income data, wage data for demographics and things, it's very clear. There's not, there's that you really don't have that much like explicitly incorrect information about it. The numbers don't really end up getting fudged. You know what I mean? There's certain things where it does. There's certain studies on certain stuff. But for the most part, data skews towards being correct. You know, it's not going to be correct all the time, and there could be times where, you know, if you follow data, you could end up in a worse situation. But for the most part, generally speaking, a person who follows data is going to have better outcomes than somebody who just shoots in the dark and comes up with their own opinions about what reality could be based on just what they think and what they're rationalizing in their head without really doing any research or looking into any data. But I do understand, I mean, in certain circumstances, sometimes a blind intuition can end up making you strike closer to the truth, because sometimes you research and then you might find misleading information. But again, what I'm saying is, like, for the most part, you really do want to research things and skew towards, have a bias towards established data, especially data that is rock solid, which we do have certain examples of that. It's a lot of government labor statistics and I mean, even like voting data that you can get on people. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like, it's pretty accurate. You know, it's just pretty, it's pretty much there. But of course, again, you have to, like, it's not 100%. Nothing is 100%. But how are you going to consistently out-rationalize data? It's just, it's impossible. I think it's statistically near impossible for over a long period of time if you compare a person who tries to use rationale without data versus somebody who's using rationale with data. I mean, sometimes, like I said, I mean, sometimes the person without data may actually be able to get it closer to being correct because, you know, they might be able to, because in certain circumstances, the data could bias you in a certain way that might, but I'm saying in the long run, if you look at the long-term success rate for people, it's going to be the people who follow data, who are generally going to do better. They're generally going to have a better grasp of reality. And I don't know why, but I have never met a person who even cares about data. Everybody, every human, it almost seems like it's this human phenomena to hate data and to hate studies and to hate this stuff. I mean, I literally think everybody I've talked to, they just hate it. You know, like, you try to talk to them about something and you bring up the point for your argument and you bring up data and you say, oh, well, this is like this because of this. And their gut response is just to, like, strike that down with, well, no, I've experienced this. So, you know, I don't know what your data's on, but, you know, I actually know people. I know people, and it's like this for them, and I actually know these people. And I just don't get what the point of that is. Like, so it's like, Yeah, so you have a smaller radius, but you're still referencing data. It's just like it's much smaller and more subjective, so it's going to be more inaccurate. I mean, if you live in a rich country, in a rich area, what you know about your immediate surroundings is going to be way different than other areas, you know? I mean, I don't really understand why I'm constantly caught in these situations. And like then people start talking down to me like, "Well, you know data isn't always right." I know that. I mean, who doesn't know that? But it seems, I mean, I almost want to say it could be as high as 80%, just based on like, and hey, this is my own subjective experience, so it could be wrong, but somehow, some way, I've just met so many people who, I mean, they hate data. It's like their whole thing is just like trying to argue with me about how they know reality better and how the data's wrong. And you wonder, like, how is this person even coming to these conclusions? Is it just an amalgamation of things they've seen on TikTok that isn't vetted? It isn't by anybody who, like, they see posts and they just kind of like guess how reality is. They base it off of people's stories. It just doesn't, it does not make sense to me because I've always dealt with this. Like I've always dealt with these problems where the people who are criticizing me about reality, it's like they probably spend more time watching TV shows than like actually looking at real data. And it's always what happens whenever I'm in a conversation. I guess that's kind of a human thing as well. It's like very human to where if I'm making claims or talking about something, like the person I'm talking to, they're basically going to want to get in on it too. And they're going to want to act like, yeah, I'm like you too making claims, and then they start like counter arguing and thinking, "Oh, yeah, well you're saying the data, well, yeah, I mean, I know something too. Look, I know people." Like I feel like cuz people get like I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, people just I guess they're so arrogant. Their ego is so sensitive. Mine is really not like that. I mean, when people tell me things like I listen and I learn and I'm interested. And there's been cases of people and they tell me wrong things and like I believe them. And then years later I look it up and it's like they were wrong. I mean, I cannot get over that. Like so maybe again it's like naive, maybe it's gullible, but I don't really get offended if somebody tells me something I don't know. I don't have to like know anything. If somebody mentions something to me I don't know, then like I learn it and I'm happy to learn it. I'm not like embarrassed that I didn't know or something. I mean, my brain is just not on that wavelength, and I'm assuming that's how a lot of people are. So it's like these very human things. And I wanted to point out cuz within politics there has been this like rebellion against the experts and against people who are actually like qualified and good, and we're like we're more and more interested in politicians and people who are like outsiders and people who are really willing to like do things different and stuff like that. I don't understand why people would want that. It's like more and more personally, I wouldn't mind an expert or a qualified person running government. I mean, is this really a hard thing to understand? I think that that really was not the problem. Like, okay, to me, I think the problem was there might just be like a ceiling with how qualified or how intelligent someone like a politician could be. And we probably hit that ceiling culturally, back in, I would estimate like the late 1900s. And then, nowadays you have a lot of residual bloat in the system. You have a lot of people who are really old who like don't really understand how things work anymore. I mean, there's arguments that there should be age limits on people in Congress. There's arguments we should have more representatives because it's kind of, I mean, for like what, 300 something million people to only have I want to say it's like 400 something or 500 representatives. That's just not gonna work, especially with the nature of how complicated things are now. I mean, you need a lot of high level brains. And again, the problem is too, like with politics, it's a lot to do with a personality, a look, an ability to run and win a campaign. And it's less so about like a person's qualifications, because if it was about a person's qualifications, I honestly think all the politicians would be like kind of awkward nerds who are just like crunching data and trying to make the correct decisions. And that's obviously not what we see at all. Like we see within politics, we see people who are charismatic. We see people who, they can put on a show. They keep up with their appearance. They spend thousands of dollars on their clothes to have really nice clothing and get their hair done for debates and things like that. I mean, it's not, it doesn't seem like the type of people you would actually trust to run things. So I think that it is worse, the direction we are headed in. I think that it's just kind of the way things are now, but it doesn't make any sense. Like I've explained it before, but it's just true, It's just true. Like it's not, I don't think we needed an outsider or somebody who's like less qualified and has less political experience. We actually need somebody who is qualified. If anything, they should be more qualified and they should have a lot of political experience, but they should probably be younger. And then you have to like cut down on corruption, obviously, And when I say political experience, I don't mean like, oh, well, somebody, because someone could have a lot of time in office, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily a good politician. So there's a lot of nuance to these things that I just don't think people understand. But in all honesty, I think we're worse off having less qualified people as politicians. And I don't even see how that's like a difficult argument to make. Like to me, basically a lot of the stuff I said today, to me, I don't even see how I feel like they're pretty solid statements. Like they're pretty solid arguments. I don't understand the people I know and the claims they try to make and what they're arguing with me for. Like I don't know. It just seems weird. Like it seems strange that people would be that like against the stuff I'm saying or be that confused. Like I said, my only real theory is that there's just sort of these human blockers in place that kind of like prevent humans from really comprehending reality. I mean, I don't really know. It's just like, yeah, I'm just not sure. I mean, it happens way too often where like I argue with people about things and then I look it up just to double check, but it's like already data or information I would already know. And yeah, it's just like, and then I'm right. And then I send it to the person. I'm like, what? it's literally the thing. Like, don't argue with someone if you didn't even research what you're talking about. I just don't. I don't understand people. So many people just think they were like born a star and born a genius, and they can just like outmaneuver me. When I literally do that every single day. I'm literally talking I talk about these concepts, I take the transcript, and I paste it into GPT, and then GPT goes through and like says, hey, this point you're onto something here, this one you're not. And I'm going to do the same thing with this episode. So it kind of goes without saying that if I do that every single day, that broadly speaking, my knowledge is just going to be at a different point than somebody who scrolls TikTok or Instagram, happens to see some posts or some stories that might not even be real. I mean, I don't know. And then base things off of just like their immediate life. Of course, yes, generally speaking, I'm going to have like a closer look at reality. I'm going to have, oh my gosh, I don't know how much more I can take it. And as time goes on, we're actually going to continue to get better and better data because more and more microphones are around, more and more cameras are around. You have certain countries like China who have really embraced public data collection. Even in America, even though it's quote unquote private, it's kind of funny because it's basically like, yeah, China, it's the government, and in America we're all about freedom and privacy, but it's just the corporations are collecting all our data, like through our technology and social media use. But the point is, data is the future. Like, in the future, data is going to be very accurate and very good, and all this mess is going to just be over with. Like, it's somewhere. The corporations have access to it. People are not ready. Even if, I don't know how dark or how deep the surveillance state will end up being in America, but something pretty dramatic is going to come, I think, within my lifetime. And I really think my opinions about this stuff are going to be vindicated. Anyways, it's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.